Well, always wanted to have something that was meaningful. So after I left the farm, I went on a, I got a job down in Idaho Falls delivering milk on a milk truck. And I'd have to get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and go load my truck and deliver milk all the way to St. Anthony, Idaho, and then back down again. And I had a boss that was hard-nosed, and I had always been on a farm, and I had pretty much done things the way I wanted to do it, and it really irked me. So anyway, he collared me one day, and I says, well, you can have the job. So I quit there, and then had an opportunity to go into the dairy business as an artificial inseminator, and that is breeding dairy cows artificially. So I worked a summer around Idaho Falls, and then a guy out in Nampa hired me out there as kind of a relief man, and he had more than he could do. So we moved to Meridian, and we worked at that a year, but he didn't pay me enough. I had to have my own car. I had to pay all my own car expenses, and I got $300 a month to take care of a family of 2 kids, Lynn being born out there. I just couldn't make ends meet. And the guy I worked for, he was very distraught at me for leaving. He didn't care how much I starved. He just wanted me there. And anyway, we decided, well, as long as we're unemployed, there's no use getting employed out here. And Noreen says, well, let's go to Salt Lake. And I says, well, I know there isn't much around Idaho Falls. So we loaded things on a trailer and moved to Salt Lake. There I went to work for Stoker-Matic Company as in their stock room of shipping and all of that type of thing. That was not anything. It had made some money, but it wasn't anything fulfilling. And her father worked at the meat packing plant, McFarland's. He says, well, there's a job opening there. Pays you more money if you want to go there. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure that's what I want to do forever. But I went to work there to make a bit more money and help my family out mostly. But I tried to make the most of it in there, and I never knew how to sharpen a knife before I went there, and I learned how to sharpen a knife. And I boxed up offal, and I did everything, and then I delivered some off of trucks, delivering to stores and so forth, and carrying 120-pound quarters of beef. And then in the middle of the summer, when the lambs come off of the range, they would start killing lambs and shipping them to New York. So they says, well, you can come, we need somebody on the kill floor. We'd like you to come back there. And so I worked around at several positions there and ended up being the sheep gutter. But when we'd work 10-hour days, and we'd kill about 1,000 sheep a day. But I looked around me, and the guys that had been there for a while, their hands was all knotted up with arthritis, and I says, I don't think I want to be there when I'm 45 or 50 years old. So there was an ad come out in the paper for business machines operators. I said, I don't know what that is, but it was Stephen Henniger, so I went up and talked to him, and that was they were teaching people how to operate IBM machines, the card machines. And I thought, well, that beats the meatpacking house. And so I asked them if I could go and take the class, and they says, well, you'll have to take an aptitude test to see if your aptitude is for it. So I said, well, I'm not very good at aptitude tests, but that's what you want, we'll take it. So I took the aptitude test, and when it come back, they says, well, you're really marginal. You're a little bit lower than what we will let come in. And that irked me. So I says, well, I'll pay you my money if you'll let me take it. And if I can't do it, I'll quit. So they says, okay, we'll let you in. We got one position, so we'll let you in. So I went in there, and it clicked with me. I could understand what they were doing, and the logic and everything of it just began to click. And I said, I would like a longer career at this. And I went through school for 3 months and learned it, but there was 12 of us in the class, and it got to the point where me and the top guy were competing one another to see who was going to be the top. And when we graduated out and all the scores was in, he got an overall score of 95, and I got an overall score of 93. So the guy's telling me I couldn't do it as an aptitude. I proved him way wrong. I went and told him about it. And
you didn't use the missionary spirit that time?
No. But then I got a job at J.A. Hogle, but in the meantime, the meat packing house went down, down, and down. So my last job at the meat packing house was I run the gut truck. Went around to all the different packing houses around there and got barrels of guts and brought them back, and so they could process them into a meal. So it got pretty bad before I got the job, and I stayed at Hogel's for about 3 months, and then Maureen's dad, there was an opening come at Thiokol, and so he says, well, there's an opening up here at Thiokol and it'll make you more money. So I went up and interviewed, and they hired me. I worked at Thiokol for just about 10 years, but in the meantime, on my own, I learned to program the computers. So I went on and worked my way all up. I became one of their key programmers. I had all of the programs for all of the financial systems, all the payroll, accounting, and everything. All of those were my responsibility to keep all of those up, which was a pretty key chunk of the business. And then there came an opening at McKay-Dee Hospital for a manager. And one of the guys I worked with, he went in and became a manager down at the LDS Hospital in Salt Lake. So he talked to him up there, and he says, this is the guy you want to come in. So I got just a little disillusioned with them out there. They're switching around and whatnot. So I went down and interviewed, and the guy offered me the job right on the spot. I said, you offered me the job? And he says, yeah. And I said, okay, I'll take it. But I had to go back out to Thiokol and work a month before. But then I worked my way up through, and it's one of those cases where you promote yourself out to where you're out of business, and that's what I did. And I went to work for the church down at their center. They got me to go there, and so from then on it was a little bit tough trying to make. But I've worked mortgages, and I've worked insurance, and hither and yon, and so we've made it through. Well, over the years, I've had a number of jobs. Some of the one at Thiokol paid me well. The one at the hospital paid me well. But some of the others didn't pay me very well. And so I come up with a line, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I like rich better. So whether I die rich, who knows? I probably will never die rich, but I'll die happy.